do want to dig into the latest LSU commitment. I really love what Brian Kelly and company are doing on the recruiting trail throughout this cycle. Javien Toviano is officially committed to LSU out of Arlington, Texas, Arlington Martin High School. You know, when LSU is cooking on the recruiting trail, Texas and Texas natives more specifically have a lot to do with it. And Toviano becomes the fourth Texas native to jump on board with Brian Kelly and company in this cycle. He is the highest ranked Texan on board with LSU. 6', 185, a versatile cornerback safety hybrid. We've got him projected in the SI 99 as a nickel, top 80 prospect overall. And now LSU has a handful of SI 99 recruits. This class was number 6 in the country when we updated the rankings on December 1st. Probably still in that range, maybe pushing into the top 5 with this Toviano decision. Of course, Miami was right in that 6 to 7 range, so they're pushing forward with a red hot December as well. But LSU's checking a lot of its own boxes. You look at that current Tiger roster, and there is a huge need at certain positions, and maybe most notably defensive back. So here's this for addressing the needs at defensive back. Damn the portal. Don't even dig into the portal, which we know LSU will probably dig into. As of this recording on the evening of December 15th, LSU has 7 defensive backs verbally committed. Toviano, the most notable from where I sit, but you've got Dalen Austin from Long Beach Poly, who Oregon and others are really trying to flip there, by the way. So keep an eye on that one. You've got, of course, more in-state recruits on board at many positions, including in the defensive backfield with Kylan Jackson. I really like Ryan Yates, another Texan on board, more of a true safety. He's a Denton Geyer kid. You have probably seen him on ESPN this fall because they've been absolutely rolling in the state of Texas. He is a true safety type who could bring that combination of physicality and coverage ability to the table there as well. There's just a lot of DBs in this class for LSU, and it is a true need answered and addressed by Brian Kelly. 7 in all committed to the Tigers. Again, we love Toviano, the newest commitment who picked LSU over Texas, Texas A&M, Michigan, and Georgia. There was really buzz all over the place in this Toviano recruitment to spend a little bit more time on the newest Tiger. But LSU was always right in the thick of it, at or near the top of that recruiting buzz and or perception. At one point, Alabama was involved. There was some Texas, TCU, A&M back and forth for some time, but he just hadn't made the visits to Texas for the Longhorns to be considered a true threat. So in the end, it was really A&M that presented the true competition for LSU. And I said it earlier in today's show, Jimbo Fisher and company, they're going to close well, right? They just flipped Reuben Owens. They just added another pass rusher, an in-state kid. They're trending for former Baylor verbal commitment, Torian York, a linebacker from the state of Texas. A&M is going to finish quite well in this class of 23, and they swung their sword. Shout out to Mike Leach, swung their sword late in the recruitment for Toviano, but LSU held off. And I think it's another sort of feather in the cap for Brian Kelly, where, again, when he took the job, the question marks weren't about so much him being a CEO and being organized and running a strong program with good culture and X's and O's thereafter. It was really about recruiting. Could Brian Kelly resonate with the Southerner? Could Brian Kelly resonate with the Louisianan, right? With that Cajun culture? Could Brian assimilate and eventually accumulate talent, which is really the name of the game in college football these days? Well, how's this? December 15th, we just mentioned a huge DB haul, including some Louisianans. 10 Louisianans on board right now, including some of the very best in the state, right? Zalance Hurd's the top offensive tackle in Louisiana. He is committed to LSU. Shelton Sampson's the top receiver in Louisiana. He is committed to LSU. You could argue beyond Arch Manning, Ricky Collins is one of the best quarterbacks in Louisiana. He is, of course, committed to LSU. You've got running backs, safeties, corners, a lot of Louisianans on this verbal commitment list, and many of the good ones as well. So you're not just plucking from tier 2, tier 3 to make the numbers look good. You're competing and winning against Alabama, Georgia, Texas A&M, etc. for some elite Louisianans. And then the question with Kelly was more widespread. Where else in the South could he make an inroad, right? We know Texas is important to LSU. That box is checked times 4. Here's the surprising state, Georgia. Georgia has 4 Peach State natives committed to LSU at this very moment. They just lost one of the best Georgians to ever play at LSU in BJ Ojulari, and there's some turnover here with some Georgians. DJ Chester, big offensive tackle, is maybe the most notable Peach Stater committed to Mr. Brian Kelly and the LSU Tigers. So this LSU class is very strong. It's got balance to it. The DB group is massive and elite all at the same time. There's a big wide receiver haul up in here as well, including Jaylen Brown, the only Floridian on board, but a heck of a get for LSU because throughout his entire recruitment, Miami was always the school, was always going to be viewed as the team to beat. Then Texas got involved, then Michigan got involved, and then so did LSU. And LSU just kind of hung around, and then closed before Jaylen committed in July. And he's taken some visits. Look, he's a South Florida kid. That's what goes down there. But he's stuck with LSU, and there's not really a ton of Miami buzz right now, which is notable, not head-to-head on the field where LSU has been miles ahead of Miami, but in recruiting where as we just talked about earlier, Mario Cristobal and company are doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on the recruiting trail to try to fix this thing down in Coral Gables. So really nice get for LSU to have Jaylen Brown on their verbal commitment list. But the class has just about a bit of everything. There's really no weakness from a volume standpoint. I think LSU has really hit a home run here down the stretch. And there's a couple other prospects that they're in it for that could further bolster this class of 2023. So where are we now on the calendar? Again, December 15th, 6 days ahead of the early signing period, the de facto national signing day. I want to give a quick update, just some of the storylines that we are following down the home stretch. Of course, the race for the number 1 class is where most of that conversation begins. And big shocker out there, it is very much still Alabama's race to lose at this point. They just grabbed the top lineman in the class of 2023, Keon Keeley, pass rusher, formerly committed to the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, leaving just 10 after the 2 commitments on Thursday, just 10 uncommitted recruits in the country. So we know the race for number 1 is Bama and then a group of programs. That fluctuation between 2 and 5 will be more interesting than who finishes at number 1 because Bama is going to finish number 1 barring some big surprises. But that run from 2 to 5 could be any combination of Georgia, Notre Dame, Texas, Miami now in that grouping. Clemson, LSU, Oklahoma, Florida among the schools thereafter. But 2 to 5 could fluctuate depending on just where those final dominoes fall next Wednesday. So just 10 uncommitted recruits, as we mentioned in the SI-99, Nicholas Harbor, the pass rusher out of Washington, D.C., Damon Wilson, the pass rusher out of Venice, Florida, Georgia, Ohio State battle there. Should mention with Nicholas Harbor, it is a Michigan, South Carolina, Maryland battle. How about that for a top 15 overall recruit? Among the other uncommitteds, Deuce Robinson, number 1 tight end recruit, USC, Texas, Georgia involved there. Mateo Uyangalele, another pass rusher out of California, younger brother of DJ, of course. He is down to USC, Oregon, and Ohio State. Pac-12 buzz between those 3 there. Number 20 overall and number 22 overall, both out of Carver Montgomery High School there in Alabama. James Smith, Quay Russaw, Bama trending, Auburn getting the last visit, the Florida Gators in there thereafter among those top uncommitted recruits. And then you got to go way down the 99 to 48 overall. Anthony Hill, former Texas A&M commitment, a linebacker out of Denton, Texas. He is looking at Texas A&M, Texas, and might visit Miami here for the final weekend of the cycle. That will be fascinating. Another top undeclared recruit, tight end Walker Lyons, former Stanford commitment out of Folsom High School in Cali. He has opened things up and is looking at schools like Georgia, USC, and a few others. He won't sign until February, so kind of put an asterisk on that one. And then another pass rusher undeclared out of Louisiana, by the way, Ashley Williams, Zachary High School, former Auburn commitment and Nebraska commitment, is now hearing from the new staff at Nebraska. Georgia Tech just offered a couple other schools trying to stay in the ball game there. And then the 10th undeclared recruit in the SI-99, Caden Lee, slot receiver out of Georgia. Ole Miss viewed as the favorite, but Georgia recently got him on campus. UCF, South Carolina among those also chasing for Caden Lee. So 10 undeclared recruits left in the SI-99. Some of the other 89 could very well switch their commitments between now and or on National Signing Day. So there should still be a lot of fun buzz to track down the home stretch. Not so much who's going to finish number 1, but who's going to finish 2, 3, 4, and 5. Very dramatic, very close, nitpicky, hair-splitting type decisions for our crew at State of Recruiting and SI all the same. So looking forward to tracking this thing down the home stretch. Any big decisions that go down, we will jump on here and recap it and expand on it, kind of gut feel, initial reaction style, because we like to keep it raw, as the legend ODB used to tell us. So that'll do it for this edition of the State of Recruiting. We'll catch you on YouTube. We'll catch you on Apple Podcasts, and of course on Twitter at JohnGarcia_JR. Be sure to like, subscribe, and rate CFB Nation where you look for the State of Recruiting podcast. Thanks for listening, everybody. God bless. Garcia out.